Hey, this is Dana Scranton, and welcome to today's episode. We're going to do a continuation of where we started yesterday on what really is a four-part episode, and I may expand it to five or six as we get into the last topic area. But what I'm covering in this mini-series, this four episodes, is the idea that the lifestyle of the solo entrepreneur, in fact, any entrepreneur really, but in particular the solo entrepreneur, really is comprised of four critical elements, and that is fun, profit, freedom, and impact. And so in yesterday's video, we talked about fun. We defined fun, what it was, and why fun is important. Okay, that's number one. Now, today, we're going to be talking about profit. Now, I've alluded to this in some of my prior episodes, but today we're going to go more in depth, and we're going to put a different face on the idea of profit. So stay tuned, dig in, take some notes, and we'll go from there. So if you have any questions, any comments, you like what you see, leave a comment, send me a private message, and by all means share on your favorite social media channels. Of course, we're on Facebook, so like and share so other people can get the benefit of whatever epiphany they may acquire from watching this episode. All right, well, let's talk about profit. You know, profit is a duality in the life of the entrepreneur, and in particular, the solo entrepreneur. And I'm going to get into that because you may be a solo entrepreneur, you may not, but I'll guarantee you that what I'm going to talk to you about is something that is either going to strike an emotional chord with you or it's going to be a revelation. One of the two. And I'd like to hear from you which one it was for you. Profit. The duality of profit really refers to the two critical elements of profit for the solo entrepreneur. One of those, of course, is monetary profit, the thing that most people associate with the word profit. And then the second, which is more important for the solo entrepreneur than for the organizational entrepreneur, is personal profit. Now, let me differentiate once again between the solo entrepreneur and the organizational entrepreneur. I was listening to a podcast here recently where the person being interviewed referred to solo entrepreneurs as the small e entrepreneur and the organizational entrepreneurs as the big E entrepreneur. And what he was referring to was that a big E entrepreneur is somebody who, comes from highly technical background in most cases, prestigious universities, goes out and acquires hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital funding from, the venture capitalist out on Sand Hill Road in the San Jose area. And then they go off and they launch a company and they either become famously successful like Facebook, Apple, and others, or they fail. But when they fail, they walk away whole. They raised a bunch of money. They got paid quite a bit for doing what they were doing at the time. But that's the world of the so-called big E entrepreneur. In that world, your technical skills, your vision, that wild product idea, your energy, that's all very important. And I've worked with many of those people. And I can tell you that there's a wide mix. And in another episode, down the road a ways, I will reveal to you a formula that I acquired in working with 57 of these high-tech entrepreneurs around the world. And that formula I determined by going through and making copious notes of everything that I experienced in working with and for these entrepreneurs. And it's a powerful formula, and stay tuned for that in the future. But here's the what I want to leave with you about that particular comment. Entrepreneurs in the big E, or the organizational entrepreneur world, march to a different drum. They live in a different world. And so consequently, what is valuable to them in terms of profit really is more in that money area. It's in the monetary profit area. And there are other things that are important to them, of course, but that's our key focus. Now let's come back to the solo entrepreneur and talk about what is really important for the solo entrepreneur and why. And here is the distinction. Whereas the solo entrepreneur is a single person, and the organizational or the big E entrepreneur usually is in an organization. If that organization fails, as I said, that entrepreneur usually can walk away and not be destroyed. He may not get any more capital funding, but generally speaking, they're not going to starve. The solo entrepreneur, unless their business is firing on all cylinders, they're executing, they're making the sales they need to make, they don't eat. That's critical distinction number one. Now, of course, there are differences in the organizational world where the entrepreneurs may not, in fact, eat, and that's fine, but I'm just talking generalities here. So for the solo entrepreneur, things have to work. And when it comes to profit for the solo entrepreneur, the duality of profit, of monetary and personal profit, are interconnected and they are cyclical. In this world of the solo entrepreneur, their individual skills, their ability to run their business, to close a sale, to come up with a new niche, all the things that go into running a very small single entity business are all comprised of personal knowledge and skills and wisdom and experience. That profit is the personal side of the profit. It is more important initially than the monetary profit. Now, I know that's hard to accept because you're saying, well, I've got to make money. Well, of course, every business is about making money. But for the solo entrepreneur, that money is about growth. It is about increasing their personal value in knowledge, skill, wisdom, experience, capabilities, such that they can expand the profit through the value they have added to themselves. And that is the critical distinction. Okay, in the large e-entrepreneur world, that technical skill, that whiz-bang idea, that super nanotech device that popped into your head one day, that's your stock and trade. You can be the biggest jerk, the poorest communicator, but you're brilliant. On the solo entrepreneur side, you have got to acquire the skills to communicate, to rationalize with irrational people, the ability to actually empathize with the marketplace, to understand people at the gut level, with those 6 basic human needs that we've talked about in the past. The skill sets. You've got to master the marketing skill sets. The hardcore brick and mortar marketing, that person-to-person, belly-to-belly marketing. And then you've got to master the digital marketing. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, all that stuff. You got to figure out how it all coalesces into a single approach that you can take and master as a solo entrepreneur so that you can add value to the lives of others, because that's where your profit comes from. Profit in the solo entrepreneur world is cyclical. The more value you add to yourself, the more knowledge, skill, and capabilities you bring to the marketplace, the more profit you make. The more profit you make, the more you can increase your personal value, because that's your organization. Your big E is you. It is your ability to bring value to the marketplace. And that's unlike the so-called organizational or big E entrepreneur. They've got an organization to do that. They've got a board of directors. They've got advisors. Now, you can have similar things. You can have mentors. You can have uplines. You can have colleagues. You can have masterminds. And in effect, these are all kind of organizational entities that help you to grow, to help you to add value. But what I really want to impress upon you is, if you are an entrepreneur, if you aren't, then you're thinking about becoming one, your personal value is more valuable than the money that you're making, because that personal value gives rise to monetary profit through impact that you make in the marketplace. And that impact is directly tied to who you are and the value you've added to yourself. So I think I've made the point here that the duality of profit for the single entity solo entrepreneur really essentially comes down to those two things: the monetary profit, the personal profit, and the integration of the two, and they are cyclical. One follows the other follows the former. They go around and around in circles. So that's the epiphany that I hope to share with you today. And so now we've talked about the fun and we've talked about the profit. Now these two things, fun and profit, if you go back and understand the definition of fun, I'm not going to repeat it here, but go back and watch the prior video And now you add these two things together, the fun and the profit. Profit, of course, being monetary and personal. When you add those together, you create the ability for the next of the four variables, the next critical one, which is freedom. So in the next podcast and Facebook Live, because I'm actually recording this live for the podcast as well, and we're going to go into freedom and what freedom really means. And to give you a little taste of that, when you see freedom in the entrepreneurial sense, very oftentimes it's associated with what I have previously referred to as, the beach bunny. Somebody sitting out on the beach with their feet kicked up with a laptop, waving around in the air with a drink in the other hand, giving you the image that they are wildly successful and they can just sit on the beach, work on their laptop, and isn't life wonderful? Now, there are people who do that, to be sure, but they are the exception, not the rule. And so what I'm speaking to is the solo entrepreneur who really is the foundation of the entrepreneurial world. They're out there working hard, they're adding value, they're taking care of their families, they're taking care of their community, and that's the entrepreneur that you really need to embrace and understand. The others, those are the exceptions. And so when we talk freedom in the next Facebook Live, what you're going to hear is a little bit different twist on what freedom might mean. So hey, until then, I hope you got value out of this. Please like and share. And if you haven't already liked and joined the website, do so. My website, DanaScranton.com. And in this particular case, this video is going up live on my business page on Facebook. So please do like and follow. And then I will also put it up on the personal page for those who are not following me on the business page. So once again, this is Dana Scranton. Hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next episode.